Nutritional considerations for adults over 50, maximizing quality of life. We probably should have called this adults over 40 because a lot of these so-called age-related, which are often lifestyle-related issues, start to happen after the age of 40 and even earlier. And so today we are going to talk about lifestyle and nutrition interventions we can use to reduce the risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. And also we're going to be talking about unexpected and undesired weight loss in the elderly. And we are wrapping up a 3-part series today.
And if you guys haven't tuned in with us before, you can rewatch these series. They are on our YouTube channel. You can also find them in the Facebook feed as well.
Yeah. Okay, so again, we're talking about undesired and unexpected weight loss and neurodegenerative function. And neurodegenerative diseases occur when nerve cells in the brain or the nervous system lose function over time and ultimately die. So what can we do to reverse or slow down the decline of these things using nutrition in order to improve the quality of life for ourselves, our loved ones, our aging parents? Prevention is absolutely critical, and it starts now. It's never too late to start. If you're in your 40s, it can start now. If you're in your 30s, it can start now. In your 50s, definitely be paying attention to this. This starts to affect you more quickly. So let's start with unexplained weight loss because it impacts about 1 in 4 to 6 older adults. As we age, people usually experience a loss of muscle and bone density, and the loss of this tissue also reduces the amount of water in the body, and all of this can result in pretty noticeable weight loss. But unintentional or unexpected weight loss, like of 5% of a person's body weight, even 10% is a large amount of body weight in less than a year, can signal an underlying health issue. It's something you should be paying attention to. It also, and why? Because it's associated with an increased risk of death within a year. So if you are caring for an elderly parent, perhaps they are institutionalized or living alone, if they start to lose weight rapidly, this is a red flag, okay? That unless it's addressed, you could be losing that loved one within a year.
Yeah.
So why is weight loss common in the elderly? Well, there can be chronic health conditions that can affect appetite, can affect metabolism. They can change a person's eating habits, and this can trigger weight loss in seniors. Some of the most common ones that can really suddenly affect their weight are physiological. They could experience hyperthyroidism. Hypothyroidism is more common in the elderly. Cancer, Alzheimer's, or dementia. There can be GI issues, diabetes, heart disease. So these can all signal, like, the weight loss can signal an underlying reason for the sudden, an underlying health issue. Also, medication and side effects. It can have medication, my tongue's not working today. Medication can have side effects. Things like, and they can alter taste and smell. They can make food less enjoyable. Some medicines can also cause nausea and vomiting in patients. And then there's dysphagia, which can make swallowing painful or difficult or almost impossible. There can also be psychological issues, dementia, depression, diseases such as Alzheimer's or other psychiatric disorders can affect cognition and result in unplanned weight loss. They can simply forget to eat or not want to eat. There's also financial considerations, right? Can they afford food? Maybe they don't want to be a burden on their family. Can they order food? Do they know how to shop for food? Can they prepare healthy meals? Are they able to prepare healthy meals? And then there's social isolation and grief. As we age, we lose friends, we lose spouses, we have loved ones that pass away. And this can create feelings of isolation and grief, and people can lose the desire to eat and even to live.
Sad.
It is sad. Yeah. Yeah. My own mother, she passed away 2 years ago, had no desire to eat the last 6 months of her life. Just wanted to go, said she wanted to go. So other things that can prevent people from eating is simply painful or uncomfortable to eat. For example, they could have poorly fitting dentures, which make it hard to chew. They could have mobility issues, and this can affect their motivation to prepare food or their ability to prepare food. My husband's mother has difficulty moving around now, and she used to cook every day. She was a seamstress when he was growing up, and she would still cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She's Greek. Cooking home cooked meals was really important to her identity. And as she aged and became more difficult to cook, I think she lost some of her identity in that, as a provider. And she doesn't really have anyone to cook for anymore. And so the desire is also gone. And so they may not eat as nutritiously either. My own grandmother has never enjoyed cooking, even though she had 7 children. She prefers to eat frozen foods that you can heat up in the microwave. The solution is that of her 7 children, the 3 sons bring her food Mondays, Wednesdays, Friday or Saturdays. They have dinner with her and they leave her a bunch of leftovers. So she always has fresh home cooked meals to eat because she lives independently, rather than, reheating a pita pocket or a pizza pocket. It's much healthier, and she has the company. So, these are all reasons why people might be eating less than nutritiously or less than they actually should be eating, and they could lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some practical recommendations to help these people, right? Well, consider a meal prep or a meal delivery service. And that's different from, you could do a grocery delivery service if they're able to and willing to cook their own food, but they may not be. So consider a meal delivery service, and one with high protein, because unfortunately, a lot of meals for the elderly are subpar and don't have a lot of protein. Consider the cost of, consider if they're having to pay for it, consider how that affects their limited income. Consider logistics. And, when is this going to be delivered? Is that at a good time for them? Who's going to put it in the fridge and away in the cupboards? Are they able to do that sort of thing? Calorie dense meals and snacks are important because they may have a very small stomach, a small appetite. And so you don't want really bulky meals with lots of volume. You want meals that we call energy dense. So a small amount of food has a lot of calories. Low in fiber. A big bowl of salad may not be practical. Healthy, but not practical for them. Maybe a powdered greens drink might be better for them to get more nutrients in. Higher in fat. Fat has a lot of calories and it doesn't take a lot of volume, right? Oils, healthy fats, like olive oil and stuff, could be added to the foods for extra calories. And consider if they are just snacking a lot of processed foods, is that displacing eating a healthy meal? Because they never really feel hungry then. They're just constantly snacking on maybe like a little bar or a chocolate bar or something just easy and to unwrap and eat. So while snacks can help bump up the calories and cause weight gain, they can displace healthy meals. So it's something to consider. This is almost the opposite advice that we give our weight loss clients, right? Well, we do say a high protein meal. We do say consider meal delivery if you don't want to cook, but we would recommend more higher volume meals, like lots of greens to fill you up, because you're always trying to manage your appetite and your hunger when you're trying to lose weight. So we recommend more fiber, less fats, so it's the opposite. When you're trying to get somebody to gain weight.
Yeah, if I had someone looking for protein to gain weight, I would be like, whole eggs. Whole eggs are your friends. For fat loss, egg whites.
Exactly, because they're half fat, half protein, and egg whites are just pure protein. Liquid calories are easier to consume. One thing we have done for my mother-in-law is buy her like a case of high protein drinks, grams of protein, and fortified with vitamins and minerals. It's an easy way for her to get more protein. And honestly, she only drinks about half a day. It's so hard to encourage her to eat, but she will have half a day and she realizes it's important. So liquid calories are just easier for them. And you should consider maybe a non-perishable case of protein shakes. Reduce the caffeine intake. It really can suppress the appetite. Maybe coffee after breakfast instead of only coffee for breakfast. Encourage tasty foods, have sauces, spices, salt. That's really important. It can encourage them to have a few more bites. And maintain good hydration. This is really important. So out of sight, out of mind, right? But if you give them a water bottle or you have water handy, or when you're visiting, you bring water to them, that can encourage them to drink. Some don't like the taste of just plain water. So you could do a sugar-free type of beverage because you do want to control blood sugar. It's really important. We're going to talk about that later. So these are some of the tips. Can you think of any other practical recommendations, Tiffany, to help with getting more calories in?
I think that going back to the fat things, something and having easy snacks on hand, such as like a handful of nuts, could be really beneficial. It goes back to having low volume and high calories. Basically the opposite of what you would do for trying to lose weight is what you want to do. A lot of times we say limit calories from drinks, but that's something you could introduce back in, give them juices. If you're making a smoothie, add in juice with it instead of water, things like that to really bump up the total calorie intake.
Yeah. Good advice. Okay. So, there's some other thing we just sort of touched on right here, which is the elderly have an increased risk of dehydration. And this can be because it's difficult or inconvenient for them to go to the bathroom. And they might not, if they're wearing diapers, they might not want to have to change their diapers frequently because it's very difficult. Even getting dressed for some of them can take 30 minutes to 60 minutes. So going to the bathroom could take almost half an hour So for them, they may actually become dehydrated. And I would encourage them to drink more because especially if they're taking lots of medications, they probably need to be hydrated. It can be hard on their kidneys, maybe some of these medications. So it's sort of a tricky balance, right? If they have difficulty going to the bathroom, make sure that they have a bar that they can use to sit down properly or get up. These sort of things can help encourage more drinking when you make it easier for them. The other thing is note that if they are dehydrated, they can have some symptoms. Some of those might be just more tired. It can actually affect their cognitive function, their ability to think, and they might have general feelings of malaise where they just don't feel that good. And drinking more water can help. So how can nutrition actually influence the rate of decline when it comes to our cognitive health? We're going to get into that next. Cognitive impairment in older adults has a variety of possible causes, and this includes age-related declines, medication side effects, metabolic or endocrine disorders, delirium due to illness. We saw this with COVID-19 infections. Urinary tract infections can actually cause, cognitive impairment. I don't know if anyone has personally experienced this, but this is quite common. Depression and Alzheimer's, dementia are some of the most common neurological ailments. Some cognitive abilities, such as vocabulary, this is very interesting. Some cognitive abilities, such as vocabulary, are resilient to brain aging. and may even improve with age. Look at Charlie Munger. He's 98 years old. I watch his YouTube videos sometimes. He's amazingly eloquent. I would hope my brain is that sharp when I'm that age. But other abilities such as conceptual reasoning and memory and processing speed decline gradually over time. I saw my own grandmother, who just turned 95 a week ago. She, sharp as a tack. You could talk about politics or anything with her until she got COVID. And now her short-term memory is gone. It's not totally gone, but all of her children have noticed that they can talk to her and they will tell her something, and then a minute or two later they have to repeat it. And they link it to COVID because it was such a sharp drop right after she got it. We know that there are declines in gray and white matter volume with age, and declines in neurotransmitter levels that can contribute to cognitive changes with aging. Now, the good news is the majority of adults over the age of 65 will not develop dementia. That's good news. But who's
That's great news?
People who are at most risk are people who have poor blood sugar management and a sedentary lifestyle. Glucose control is so important for our health, our brain health. Many experts now believe there is a clear link between type 2 diabetes and Alzheimer's. In fact, diabetes almost doubles the risk of dementia. 81% of patients with Alzheimer's disease had either type 2 or impaired fasting glucose measurements, according to one study. And now you might have heard of type 3 diabetes. You've heard of type 1, right? Naturally occurring, type 2, and type 3, which is Alzheimer's. And it results from a resistance to insulin in the brain. And it's basically when neurons in the brain become unable to respond to insulin. And it's, this is essential for basic tasks, including memory and learning. And some researchers believe that insulin deficiency is central to cognitive decline in Alzheimer's. Now,
so I think that this is just a time to note that understanding this and understanding how this can affect you in the future is going to help you make choices now that can potentially change the outcome of your future. So I know that there's a lot of facts and numbers that we're throwing at you right now, but the reason is because understanding how the choices that you make today affects how life is going to be in 20 or 30 years is key.
Yeah. Keep your blood sugar under control. This is really key. And how do you do that? Through diet and exercise. Bottom line, people with a high amount of muscle usually have a really good amount of insulin sensitivity. All right. Well, I should mention type 3 diabetes, though, is not officially recognized as a health condition yet. Fish oils. We talked about them when we talked about sarcopenia. We talked about osteoporosis. Fish oil is a source of omega-3 fatty acids, most importantly EPA and DHA. And the fatty acids of EPA and DHA are involved in regulating biological processes such as the inflammatory response, metabolic signaling pathways, and brain function. And fish oils have been shown to have several neuroprotective benefits. They can decrease inflammation. And we know that inflammation can contribute heavily to the deterioration of the brain that we see in Alzheimer's. And omega fatty acids reduce this inflammation. And some studies have subsequently found that omega fatty acids reduce the likelihood of Alzheimer's and cognitive decline. It's important to note, though, that the biggest benefit to fish oil is in preventing neurodegenerative diseases. So if you don't take a fish oil right now, you may want to consider one, especially if you don't eat fatty fishes like mackerel, sardines, or salmon. You probably want to consume a daily fish oil. We know that fish oils reduce triglycerides, and they might reduce the symptoms of depression and improve inflammatory conditions. But we also, from research, can see that it is associated with a 13% decrease in all-cause dementia among older adults in one study. So there are benefits to taking fish oil supplements, and I would encourage you to consider that as part of your diet. Let's put this all together. What are the key takeaways from this series? So far, in video 1, we talked about sarcopenia, or age-related muscle loss, which I almost prefer to say it's not age-related, it is lifestyle-related. Most of this can be prevented through changing diet and changing lifestyle. Same with bone health. We can improve our bone health. We can prevent or slow down the loss of bone density through diet, nutrition, exercise. Well, same thing happens with cognitive decline. Yes, there's a genetic component, but there's also a lifestyle and diet component. So what are some nutrition supplements and lifestyle changes you can make starting now, starting today? Well, it's largely things we teach as coaches with our clients. Your diet should include lots of fruit and vegetables. Have a diet that is lower in fats. A lot of us are consuming more fats than we actually need to optimize our health. And you want to focus on the quality of those fats, having healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, nuts, that sort of thing. Consume less sugar. Naturally occurring sugars that you find in dairy or fruit, it's fine. I would recommend whole fruits, not fruit juices. But those naturally occurring sugars, I would not worry about. It's when you add, table sugar and things like that to your diet, or drink sugary beverages. That's the stuff that isn't so good for your blood glucose, especially if you're not an active person. Active people got a lot more wiggle room. Sugar can actually have its role in helping athletes to train and perform better. But for the majority of the population, which is who we're talking to in this, just watch your sugar intake and watch your blood glucose levels. Consider vitamins and supplements like fish oil. Vitamin D, so important for bone health and for metabolizing calcium. Vitamin D also helps with depression and things like that. It can help with weight management. Consider creatine for your muscles. We talked about that in the sarcopenia series video. Consider leucine, because our ability to utilize protein and the amino acids from the protein we digest to build muscle goes down as we age. And leucine is a really important muscle building amino acid. So I myself, I'm 53 years old. I have started supplementing with leucine after doing the research on sarcopenia. It became evident, although I have a high protein diet, I could still benefit from having a little bit of extra leucine every day during one of my meals. Calcium, an important supplement, especially as we age, for bone turnover. Lifestyle, make sure you're walking and moving daily. This helps with our blood sugar, helps us manage our blood sugar, helps with insulin sensitivity, helps with bone density, helps with muscle preservation, strength training for all those reasons. If you smoke, quit smoking. It's just another reason to quit smoking, and maintain a healthy body weight. It's really important to maintain a healthy body weight. We're not saying you need to be skinny. A healthy body weight is actually a bigger range than most people realize. But once people become obese, and for women, this is over 30% body fat, that's when we start to see a real decline in health markers. So trying to get your body fat under 30% is a really good move. Regular exercise can significantly reduce the risk of developing dementia by about 30%. And for Alzheimer's specifically, the risk was reduced by 45%, according to the Alzheimer's Society. And this is looking at several studies of middle-aged people, looking at the effects of physical exercise on their thinking and memory later in life. And they combine the results of 11 studies to show just how much exercise can improve cognitive health. And again, regular physical exercise reduces the risk of developing dementia by about 30%. And for Alzheimer's specifically, 45%. So nothing beats a good diet and exercise.
Yeah, and then also as you continue to focus on a healthy diet and exercise and daily movement, you're reducing your chances of falling, you're increasing your stabilization, you're going to make sure that you're able to live life unrestricted for as long as possible.
Yeah, improve quality of life.
Mhm.
Also, we can't emphasize this enough. I know we sound like broken records, but protein. The current recommended daily allowance is too low and approximately half of what it should be for adults. Older adults should eat like bodybuilders. It's going to improve their immunity, improved wound healing, weight management, bone health, improve muscle mass or help you to maintain it better, prevent sarcopenia, which is muscle loss. There's so many benefits to an increased protein intake, blood sugar management. We could go on. And I want to mention, like, for my mother-in-law, who we really tried to get to her to have more protein, and we were buying those protein shakes and stuff. When she was living alone, she really enjoyed her independence, but she became lonely, and we saw changes in her. This woman had always been extremely proud, European, would dress up every day with all the jewelry, makeup, hair, everything. And before she went into a retirement community, I noticed for about a year or two before, there was just a drop in her vitality. And she stopped putting on makeup. I mean, that was a big red flag right there. And then I would see that her skin would get these blotches like that were purpley, that if she just kind of knocked herself on a piece of furniture, even lightly, she would bruise so easily. And this is all signs that her nutrition wasn't good. Her mood wasn't good. We encouraged her to go into a retirement community, and she has blossomed. She's got a sparkle back in her eyes. Her appearance, came, like, she started caring about her appearance. She had more of a social life and friends that she made in the community, and she was eating better because they were preparing the foods for her. She had a little kitchen. She could make her food, or she could eat downstairs in the dining room, or, she could even have food delivered. So, this is just so important if you're caring for a loved one, to just monitor their well-being and look for changes of behavior, changes in body weight, changes in cognitive function, because it can all come back to nutrition, movement, mental health, those kinds of things.
Mhm.
Supplements. All right. A lot of people, I think, focus too much on popping a pill to help themselves. I would prefer people focus mostly on what's on their plate and their diet and their exercise. And the supplements are just that, supplements to assist, not replace, all these other habits. But we do know that there are some supplements that can really help people. Fish oil, and a lot of it, 2,000 milligrams to 12,000 milligrams, depending on your current diet and whether you get in fatty fishes into your diet every week. Cardiovascular health. It can improve joint health, muscle health, immunity, and brain health. Vitamin D is an important one. You can get lab work to see how much, if you are vitamin D deficient, and 42% of Americans are vitamin D deficient. And people, the elderly who are institutionalized and don't get out a lot in the sunlight, probably also vitamin D deficient. So dose to maintain those optimal levels. Bone health and fracture risk, vitamin D can help with that. And again, I mentioned it can help with mild depression and stuff. A multivitamin, when you're taking a multi, read the label. Consider the calcium content in that multi. You might need your own calcium pill as well, because some of those labels, they've got a huge list of vitamins, and you think, oh, wow, look at, there's over 50 different vitamins in this multi. But actual fact, they're only just putting in a whole bunch of stuff in very tiny doses just to bump up and look like over 50 essential vitamins and minerals for marketing. And when you look at it, you might see in the fine print, oh, it's only 2% of the recommended daily intake. Very minuscule amounts of those vitamins. So have a look at that and consider the calcium content. That's so important for your immunity and your bone health. And creatine, go back and listen to the talk on sarcopenia. Creatine can help with muscle retention and cognitive health. And it's cheap, and you only need about 5 grams a day. And it takes about 30 days to fully saturate and achieve those benefits. Are you taking creatine right now, Tiffany?
I am. And I was actually about to say that if anyone likes listening to podcasts, we have an amazing podcast we can recommend you. That's an entire series talking about creatine and how it can affect different people of different ages and different goals and things like that. And it talks about dosing, and it's a great series to listen to.
Yeah, it does show some benefit for people who have had previous head trauma, concussions. It's great. I think it's a 6 or 7 part podcast on everything you would ever want to know about creatine.
Yeah.
All right. So practical. Oh, and here I just want to give credit to Mac Nutrition University out of the UK. These last couple slides are basically their recommendations as nutritionists, and is what I'm learning in their nutrition program. Practical recommendations, where it's all coming down to this, okay? This whole 3-part series. Reduce your risk of obesity-related diseases. Maintain a healthy body weight, not too high, not too low. Physical activity is so important to improve insulin sensitivity, even walking every day. It will help to reduce your risk of neurodegenerative diseases, muscle loss, preserve bone health, help you maintain healthy glucose control. Supplementation can be more beneficial in helping you to prevent these things, but you can still take them maybe even after you have these things, like you might have just found out you have osteopenia, for example. Still, take your calcium. It's not too late, you know. We highly recommend you incorporate strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Choose foods that are high in protein. Eat foods high in fiber, like whole grain bread, beans, vegetables, etc. Limit your sugars, stay hydrated, prioritize sleep, do those checkups, get lab work done, monitor, do you need to take all these medications? You know, the average American is on 4 prescriptions. Maybe you don't need those doses. If you lose some weight, you may be able to come off of some medications. Certainly something to discuss with your doctor. And consider some of those supplements and vitamins that we talked about. A lot of this we cover in the Transformer program. We have lessons on each of these things. It's like getting a college level course in nutrition. And so anyone watching this who is a graduate from our Transformer program, this should be very familiar. Mm-hmm. And I want to say I'm proud of you for putting your health in your hands and learning this stuff now and implementing it now so you can avoid some of these issues later in life.
And I just want to say something about that as well is even if you have graduated from the Transform program or any of our programs and you've kind of fallen off the course with prioritizing some of these things, like Adele said, it's never too late to start prioritizing them again. Never too late.
Yeah. So we have a number of coaching programs. One of them is the New You program. We have a diet only and a diet plus strength training. If you want to get into strength training, you want some help with a personalized training program, personalized nutrition advice, whether you want to lose weight, maintain your weight, or gain weight, our coaches can help you with that. Mm-hmm. That's it. I really appreciate your time today. And please, if you have any questions, drop them below. We'll be monitoring and responding to every comment. Thanks so much.